Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to Lesson 5 of the Mool Mantra and Japji Sahib Gurbani Study curriculum. Today we're going over the word Nirvaid, and I want to give you guys a heads up before we get started that I will be going through the additional Bani in more detail than I normally do. So if you're not on page 43 of the workbook right now, please flip to that page and follow along with me. It'll make it a lot easier to understand. So your facilitator has given the basic definition of Nirvaid without hate or jealousy. And again, we're trying to get deeper. So a couple points that your facilitator raised as well that are in relation to Nirvaid is first the idea that God is forgiving, right? God is the most forgiving. And the second point is that as Sikhs, because we don't have any hate or jealousy towards any person, anything, we believe in the equality of all people, loving people equally, regardless of any characteristic. So I'm going to go over those 2 points in a little more detail, and then I'm also going to bring up a third point. So talking about the first one, that God is also forgiving, we don't fully comprehend just how forgiving God is in our lives. But let's compare God to us, and that'll help us see the difference in the level of forgiveness that God has for us and that we have for each other. So let's say that you're in class, in a biology class, and you have a classmate, you call him a friend if you want to. This person you found out said a lie about you behind your back the day before, okay? And you know this as true. This is not a rumor. You know for a fact that this person said a lie about you that made you look bad behind your back. And now suddenly a lot of people know this, and this makes you look really bad and your reputation takes a hit. And again, I want to say for sure, you know this is true, that this person actually said this. It's not, you know for sure. Just remember that for this example, that you do know for sure this person said that about you. And then you realize that when you come to class, this person is not present. And later in the evening, you get a text from this person saying, hey, you know what? I missed class today. Do you mind emailing me the notes for the day and let me know if I missed anything important? And when I've taught the Mool Mantra to other college students in a live setting, or even to high school students, when I've asked this question, how would you respond? Would you send the notes? Would you not? Like, what would you do? The vast majority of people said flat out that they would not send the notes. And the reasons for that were as you would expect. This person hurt my feelings. They said a lie about me. I didn't start anything. They started it. For no reason, they spread this lie about me behind my back. And now they have the audacity to ask my help? Why would I help a person that hurts me? This is my way of getting back at them. This is my revenge. I'm not even going to respond to their text, let alone send notes. So that's what the majority of people, in my experience, when I've asked this question, that's how they would respond. And let's put that on the side right now, okay? So this person said something bad about you behind your back. As a response, you're not going to help them out in giving them notes. Okay. Now let's turn to God. During our life, you look at it year by year, month by month, week by week, minute by minute, we are doing things that are disrespectful to Akal Purkh Vaheguru all the time. We are doing things, we are saying things, we are thinking things that the Guru does not want us to say or do or think. Okay? We are constantly, saying bad things about each other. We are making fun of each other. We are putting each other down. We are jealous. We hate each other, we're angry, we have greed, we have all of these negative emotions that the Guru does not want us to have. He doesn't want us to act that way. He does not want us to think that way. He doesn't want us to be that way. Yet we continue doing those things that he doesn't want us to do. And when we do those things towards each other, when we're hateful towards each other, when we are angry at each other, when we hurt each other, who are we hurting? We're hurting God, because God is within every single person. So when you are hurtful towards someone else, you actually just hurt God, because God was in that person. Okay? So we're doing all of these things. He says to follow a certain code of conduct, a rehet, Many of us don't do that. That is also disrespectful to the Guru because we are not listening to his instructions. And this is a minute by minute basis. Every thought, think about every single thought that we have that is not in the Guru's line of thinking. Every single time we do something like that, we are being disrespectful to God. But does God ever decide, you know what? You've really disrespected me today. You've really hurt my feelings. So today, I'm not going to give you any food. Today, I'm not going to give you any water. Today, I'm not going to let you sleep in a bed. Today, I'm going to not let you talk to your parents. No, he never does that, right? You can do the worst thing. You can say the worst things, the things that are most disrespectful to the Guru. You can do those actions that are against Rehat. You can do all of these things, but yet God is so forgiving. He is so kind and generous and forgiving that he still provides us with all of these material comforts that we ask for, that we need to survive. He doesn't cut us off from food or water or any sort of comfort because we were disrespectful. But look at our level of forgiveness. We have no level of forgiveness for each other. If one person doesn't say hi to someone nicely at a party, or they're rude to someone one time, we declare war on that person, right? We hold a grudge and we do things in response to that person. Oh, this person was rude to me. Watch what I'm going to do to them. They took it to level 2. I will move it to level 4. And I'm not going to stop doing that until they apologize to me, right? We have such a low level of forgiveness towards each other, even though God is granting us forgiveness left and right. Realize that God is so forgiving to us. Why are we so petty with each other? And then this Bani here, Bhagat Kabir Ji's line from the Guru Granth Sahib on page 43, a very, very beautiful line. Jahan lobh te kaal hai, jahan khima te aap. So where there is greed, there is death. And then here's a key point for our discussion. Where there is forgiveness, khima is forgiveness, God himself exists. That is how important it is for a Sikh to be forgiving. That when we forgive each other, that God himself becomes present there. That's how important forgiveness is in Sikhi. And then we turn to equality. So obviously as Sikhs, we consider everyone to be equal. It doesn't matter what your caste, gender, race, socioeconomic status, whatever characteristic you want to use, it does not matter. We believe in the equality of all people. But more than that, it's not enough for a Sikh to just be tolerant, to just be accepting of others, but rather we must love everyone equally. We must be equally supportive and loving towards all. And looking at the bottom of page 43, the Shabad starts with Bhagat Kabir Ji, Rag Prabhati. Bhagat Kabir Ji talks about the idea that how God created all of us. And he uses a metaphor of a potter making a pot, using a spinning wheel. He actually was a potter. That was his job. So this actually refers to his work that he would do on a daily basis. So he talks about how God created the light in the first part. And then you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line, Mati ek anek bhant kar saji sajin hare. He talks about the clay is the same, but God, the fashioner, has molded the clay in different ways. So look how beautiful that is. So there's one clay, right? But as a potter, he can design that clay in all different shapes. So you have, let's say, a big block of clay. You can use that clay and take a piece of it and make a cup. You could take another piece of it and make a plate or make a tall glass. You can do all of these things, but at the end of the day, even though the objects look different, they're made of the same material and they're made by the same creator. So similarly with us as humans, yes, some of us are of different races, we're of different religions, we are of different genders, we are of different economic classes, but we're all made of the same material because we're all created by the same fashioner, that God created all of us. We are all equal. And as Bhagat Kabir Ji continues, there is nothing wrong with the pot of clay. There's nothing wrong with the potter. That being different, looking different, there's nothing wrong with that. We are still equal. We still should love each other equally. And this Shabad as a whole is a very, very famous Shabad that a lot of authors quote when it comes to equality in Sikhi. And then going to page 45, another Bani, Akal Ustat, which is extremely long. This is one of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Bani in Sri Dasam Granth Sahib. This also, this passage that we've provided for you here is also extremely famous when talking about the notion of equality in Sikhi. And the main line here is the second one, which is bolded for you. The bolded part, Manas ki jaat sabe eke pehchan bo. That Guru Gobind Singh Ji is saying that recognize all human beings as being the same. And this Bani here is extremely radical for its time. If we keep reading, Guru says in the third line that here Karta, again we talked about Karta before, Karta, the creator God, this refers to God in the Hindu tradition, and Kareem refers to God in the Muslim tradition, Razak, Rahim also in the Muslim tradition, that there's only one God. It doesn't matter what you call him. You can be of this religion and call God by this name. You can be in this religion, call God another name. It doesn't matter. There's only one God, no matter what name you call him. And continuing to the next page, page 46, now the Guru's getting even more, just, I guess radical would be the best word here at the time, because this is unheard of what the Guru's about to say. This really shook people up and realizing how revolutionary the Khalsa is and how revolutionary Sikhi is and how it believes in this fierce idea of equality. The temple and the mosque are the same. There's no difference between a Hindu worship and a Muslim prayer. This is huge at that time, especially even now this is huge. The Guru is saying there's no difference. You're worshiping God, whether it's in a mandir or a mosque or a gurdwara or a church, it doesn't matter because you're worshiping the same God. And then continuing to the third line on this page, this is, I don't know how more clear one could get in terms of explaining why all human beings are equal. Here, the eyes are the same, the ears are the same, the bodies are the same, and the habits are the same. We're all made of earth, air, fire, and water. How can it be any more simple and clear? We are all equal. We have the same body parts, right? We are all made of the same material. We all have the same characteristics, right? This makes it so clear. And Guru Sahib continues this thought, basically saying that we are all made of the same creator. We are all equal. And this is, again, another famous Shabad that people use when talking about equality. It is one of my favorites, and I find it extremely logical, and I find it extremely emotional and spiritually powerful as well, as all Bani is. So we talked about forgiveness, we talked about equality. Now let's talk about the third point that your facilitator did not bring up yet. This point is the idea that why does God do quote-unquote bad things? Now, something that always comes up when we have live discussions about Nirvaid is that, okay, well, if God is without hate or jealousy, then tell me, why are there tsunamis in the world? Why are there earthquakes that kill millions of people? If God really is without hate or jealousy, then explain why do all of these bad things happen to seemingly good people? Well, that's a very tough question. But as usual, Sikhi provides an answer to that. And now I want to flip back to the first page of Additional Bani on page 43. The idea of quote-unquote bad things happening in this world doesn't exist in Sikhi. There's no such thing as a bad thing happening. Now, I'm going to provide you a more simple example, but this applies even to bigger events too. Let's imagine that there's a mother or a father, in the house, and it's almost dinner time, and you have a little child, let's say a 3-year-old, or a toddler, and the child's really hungry, it's almost dinner time, and this child really likes eating cookies. So there's some cookies lying on the table. The toddler, approaches the table, and just as a toddler, as he grabs the cookie and is about to put it in his mouth, he's ready, he's hungry, he's looking forward to that taste of the cookie, he loves cookies and he's hungry. Just as he's about to put the cookie in his mouth and begin chewing, the mom kind of grabs his hand and says, no, drop the cookie, you're not going to eat that. And the toddler leaves the cookie, and the mom says, no, you cannot have any cookie right now. Sorry. The toddler begins crying, right? The toddler begins wailing and is confused. My mother, the one who I thought loves me the most, how could she do this to me, right? I thought she loved and cared for me, but now when I'm hungry, when I actually want to eat something that's lying right there, what's her problem? Why is she not letting me eat it? And at that moment, the toddler thinks this huge injustice is being thrown on him, right? Is taking place. This horrible crime is being committed against him. I'm hungry. The cookie's right there. And my so-called mother, who takes care of me and so-called loves me, is not letting me eat the cookie. It's not until later on when that toddler grows up and realizes, you know what? My mother actually was showing me love. Because if I'd eaten that cookie, I would have lost my appetite. And I wouldn't have eaten the healthy food that was provided to me later when I had dinner. I would have eaten this junk food. It would have been bad for my growth. My mom actually loved me. And as a result of that love, I had to feel a little bit of pain in that I couldn't eat the cookie. But in the long run, it was for my own benefit. So similarly in Sikhi, look at this first line here, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Raag Sorat on page 43. Tum karo bhala hum bhalo na jane, tum sada sada deyala. That you do good for us, but we do not always see it as good. But you are kind and compassionate forever. That when so-called bad things happen, they're not actually bad. But in the future, you'll realize that actually in some way, it was for the benefit of everyone. And again, it's not easy to realize that benefit. That example I gave you is a very simple example. But Sikhi teaches us, Gurbani teaches us, that when we get to the highest stage of enlightenment, when we reach such khand, we understand God's bigger picture. Right now, we are toddlers in our spiritual journey. Our sight is so limited, we cannot see the greater picture. And to us, injustices happen, just like the child felt there was an injustice when he couldn't eat the cookie. But as the toddler got older and wiser and learned more, just as Sikhs, if we grow spiritually, we learn more about Sikhi, we act in that way, we take Amrit, we move forward in our spiritual journey, we'll reach a point where we understand what God is doing. Why are things happening? What's the point? We will reach a stage in our life, God willing, that we will understand the bigger picture that God is doing all around the world. But right now, our vision, our understanding is very limited. And it seems like there are bad things happening. But as the Guru says here, no, it's all good. It's literally only good things happening, but we don't see it that way. We don't see it that way. And sometimes, there is a notion of karma and justice. That sometimes if someone does something bad might happen to that person in response. That is the idea of karam, of your own deeds. So kar karna likh le jao, ape beej ape hi khao in Japji Sahib. That basically you keep doing certain actions, they become part of your soul. They become karam. And as a result, you harvest what you plant. If you do a lot of bad things, justice will be served on you in that you will be punished for those things. And vice versa, you do good things and you'll be rewarded for that. So in essence, we don't want to forget that God is also showing us justice, that sometimes we get what we deserve because we've done certain things that the Guru does not want us to do. And Guru Nanak Sahib says here, you harvest what you plant. That is because of your own actions. So again, this is a very tough concept to go over, and we're very limited on time in this course. But I hope this sort of at least made you think about, what actually is happening around the world. Are there certain things that we can say are bad, or is it all just part of God's plan? And when can we actually begin understanding it? Guru Arjan Dev Ji's line here hopefully provides you with that answer that, no, there's no such thing as a bad thing happening. Everything is good. It's just our perspectives are so limited, we cannot see it as good. God is nirvair, without hate or jealousy. As a result, he can never do anything bad to hurt us. He created us. He loves us. He will never hurt us. It's just our perspective being this child spiritually, where we see it as a negative thing. But when we get to the highest stage of enlightenment, we will see everything as positive. We will see the bigger picture in this world. And with that, I will see you next week. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.